When the SEC is talked about as college football's best conference on television, radio, and social media, you would think that fans of the SEC Western Division teams would bow up just a little bit more, be a little bit more proud, a little prouder look, a little more broadening of the shoulders, bowing of the chest, as compared to their Eastern Division counterparts. Yes, it's considered to be somewhat lopsided and possibly getting worse. The two divisions have only faced 4 times, but the West is 4-0. And this SEC Western Division, wow, it has not lost to anybody outside the division. And on Saturday, we've got possibly the best team in the East, Georgia, facing most likely the worst team in the West. Still, despite all the improvement out of Arkansas, the Hogs have still lost 15 consecutive SEC games. And if the Hogs can defeat the Dawgs, then the West would really have it all over the East. Let's set it up. It's Georgia at Arkansas, with the Dawgs looking to win the SEC Eastern Division, and, of course, the Hogs just trying to win a game in conference. They are coming oh so close these days. Look at the game against Texas A&M, a 14-point lead in the fourth quarter, and that 1-point loss to mighty Alabama at Arkansas last week. Todd Gurley running through all the drills, running through practice. He was with his team the entire week, but did not make the plane trip to Fayetteville for this matchup against the Arkansas Razorbacks. Gurley still suspended indefinitely. His replacements, of course, start with freshman Nick Chubb, the prized recruit, lugged the football 38 times for 143 yards against Mizzou in the Dawgs' 34-0 stomping in Columbia. You also have Keith Marshall. Keith Marshall, though, will not see action in this game. He's close to action. As late as Monday, Mark Richt had thought that possibly Marshall would be able to get the go and get some carries and some action at Arkansas, but it appears as though Keith Marshall will need another week to rest his injuries as well. Keith Marshall was almost the Todd Gurley of the Dawgs in 2012, pushing Gurley for playing time and gaining over 1,000 yards and scoring double-digit touchdowns, but it's been a ton of injuries for Keith Marshall since then. Sony Michel, the other freshman running back, out with shoulder injuries. Brendan Douglas is a serviceable back who gained 59 yards against Missouri last week on 12 carries. He brings some experience to the role. He had to fill in a lot for Gurley last season, in particular against Mizzou. That was in 2013. Then you've got J.J. Green. This kid's versatile beyond belief. He gets flipped back and forth between offense and defense, defensive back and running back, was pressed into duty when Georgia was hit with all those injuries to the skill position players last year. J.J. Green responded with 100-yard games against quality competition. J.J. Green has been flipped back to offense, so he provides some depth at running back as well. Hutson Mason, through it all, if you would think that he needs to step up at some point, it's going to be in this game. And now from this point on down the stretch, Hutson Mason's basically been a game manager, classic game manager. He threw it all over the field in some late season games when he replaced Aaron Murray last season, 300-yard passing games against Georgia Tech and in the bowl game against Nebraska. Now Hutson Mason putting up some pedestrian statistics, but more will be expected of Mason if Georgia's to win the Eastern Division. And they had probably marked this one down as a win, but not so fast at 3.5 points, as the point spread in this one, Arkansas, you would think, is going to challenge. This game will feature, despite the loss of Gurley, the top 2 rushing teams in the SEC. Georgia comes in averaging 276 yards per game with the guys that we just mentioned. And, of course, Arkansas leading the SEC in rushing. Those stats compiled against non-conference foes as well at 279 yards per game. They've got the 2 guys that are sophomore and junior at this point, with Alex Collins and Jonathan Williams. The only 2 backs is a tandem, both rushing for over 500 yards on this season. Collins 4th in the SEC in rushing. Gurley actually tops the conference, and then you've got Jonathan Williams at 569, 5th in the SEC in rushing. Arkansas, talking about putting the ball up in the air and needing to develop a passing attack. That's the call of one Brandon Allen over the course of the remainder of this season. Arkansas is getting oh so close, but for them to turn the trick, it's going to have to come against a quality opponent. They still have LSU. They still have Texas A&M. They still have Ole Miss to face and Mississippi State. They have already faced now, with Georgia on the docket for Saturday, 3 consecutive top 10 opponents, and it gets no easier. Just when Arkansas has improved to the point that they would be competitive, you would think in most leagues around America, they don't get a Tennessee this year. They don't get Vandy. They don't even get Kentucky. As improved as the Wildcats are, they get the best out of the SEC Eastern Division. Again, it's Georgia this week, and they still have a lot of toughies in the Western Division. Bret Bielema basically brought to tears last week after the near miss against Alabama, 14-13. Hogs and Dawgs, would love to hear what you have to say about this matchup in Fayetteville between maybe the best of the SEC East and the West worst team, and it could be mighty close again with Georgia taking on Arkansas. Would love to hear what you have to say with iTalk SEC and Mark Rogers TV.